Halo 3 is the most highly anticipated video game of all time, and with good reason. Bungie Studios really raised the stakes with Halo 1 and Halo 2, and a lot of people have been wondering how they're going to fare on the next generation and whether or not they're going to be able to deliver on all of the promises they've made. Well, guess what? They do deliver. Halo 3 is friggin' awesome. It's really mind-boggling to consider the scope and size of Halo 3. You've got an epic story, you've got these huge battles, you've got this really awesome replay mode, you've got the Forge, which is a massive level editor, and you got one of the best multiplayer games ever made. You put that all together, and honestly, Halo 3 will blow your mind. When last we saw Master Chief, things weren't going so hot for him. Cortana had been captured by the Gravemind, which is the big, ugly plant thing that controls the Flood that nobody really understood in Halo 2. The Prophet of Truth and his brutes were headed to Earth to find something called the Ark, which, as far as we know, was gonna be really bad for humanity. And, the elites had actually sided with the humans, so former enemies had become allies. And that's pretty much where we begin in Halo 3, with Chief coming to Earth, and right off the bat, he and the Arbiter are BFF, and they just go around kicking ass for 9 levels. There were a few major complaints with Halo 2, and that's that the level design required a lot of backtracking, and that there wasn't a lot of variety, so places just started looking the same again and again. Well, I can tell you right now that Halo 3 has a really great wide variety of environments, so you're never going to feel like you're going through the same stuff over and over again. However, there is going to still be some backtracking, because I just think that's in Bungie's design scheme. But it is definitely better and more solid than Halo 2. Another big complaint for people was that they left Master Chief's story a lot and were just focused on the Arbiter. And while some found that Elite story very interesting, a lot of people really complained about it. And Bungie made a game for the fans, and they pretty much got rid of all that stuff. So while the Arbiter is going to be following you around throughout the game, the whole story is Master Chief's story once again. If you're playing alone, you're always going to be in control of Master Chief. It's really all about him. The Arbiter is just sort of there as, he's kind of the bosom buddy, So he's there to help out, and sure, he matters, but he doesn't matter as much as Master Chief does. Veteran players of Halo are going to notice a few things right off the bat when they start playing Halo 3. Bungie decided to create a game that would service both casual fans and their hardcore fans who have really become experts at Halo, and to that end, they've made normal and easy mode actually easier than they've ever been, and heroic and legendary are slightly more difficult when you're playing alone. So if you've beaten the first 2 Halo games and you start on normal, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. There won't be turret placed in certain areas, there won't be a lot of troop reinforcements, the AI is going to be a lot more dumbed down than it usually would be, and the enemies aren't going to use as much equipment either, and equipment is one of the cool new things that they've added this year, and it's really great to see those enemies on heroic and legendary level actually throwing down like a bubble shield to protect themselves, or using a flare to blind you. Playing the game in single player on heroic will take you about 10 to 12 hours depending on your skill level at Halo, but if you play the game with 4-player co-op, which you can do online or offline, even on Legendary, you can probably blow through the game in about 5 hours if you're proficient at all in the Halo franchise. Now, that game length may be a little bit disappointing to some, but you have to consider that there's a lot of replay value in going through the campaign again, because of course, like all the other Halo games, it's a lot of fun to do, but there's so much else packed into this game that the single player is really just a very small part of what Halo 3 has to offer. Now, to help add to the game length, you're going to be able to find these secret skulls that are hidden all around the different levels, and when you activate any of these skulls, it just makes things a little bit more difficult for you. So if you're finding Halo too easy, find a couple of skulls, turn them on. They'll do things like make it so that you can't see your gun scope sight, things like that, or make it so that you take a lot of damage, or that enemies throw grenades much faster than they normally would. All of this will make for more of a challenge, which really helps out when you're playing 4-player co-op, because you can turn on what's called Metascore. If you're playing with other people, you basically can have either a competitive score to see who's killing the most or doing the best and doing the coolest stuff, or you can do a team score where it's sort of everybody together, getting lots of kills, avoiding dying, those kind of things, and every skull that you turn on, or the higher the difficulty level, the bigger the multiplier is, so the more points you're going to score, and of course there are achievements for beating the game with a high Metascore. As you know, Master Chief is pretty proficient with beating the crap out of people with his fists, but really he's a lot better with a gun, and While we still have a lot of the old favorites coming back, there are a few cool weapons that have been added. We've got the Spartan Laser, which basically zooms in and fires this laser that destroys anything, vehicles, whatever it hits. You've got a flamethrower. Yes, finally Halo has a flamethrower, and it's got a really cool looking effect, and guys will actually catch on fire. There are also a couple of new grenades that you'll get to fool around with. There's a spike grenade, which can stick anywhere, and then it shoots out spikes everywhere, does a lot of damage. And you have the firebomb, which you get later on in the campaign, and that's basically just an incendiary grenade that you throw it and stuff catches on fire, and who does not like fire? Dual wielding, which was added for Halo 2, is back again in Halo 3, but it's a lot less prominent, and that's because the battle rifle is actually the most efficient weapon in the game, and that's of course something that you can't dual wield. Really, the battle rifle was designed as that default weapon that, sort of like the M16 for Master Chief, where whenever you don't know what weapon to use, just default to the battle rifle because it usually will get you through just about any situation. One of the other big improvements is actually to the energy swords, which in Halo 2 the whole idea was just to lock onto a guy and you just instant kill. Well, now there's a little bit more depth to it, where if two guys swing their swords at the same time, they'll actually clash swords and both be stunned for a moment. So you get into these battles where guys are just hitting swords again and again trying to get at each other, and it almost becomes elegant. It's like swashbuckling in the Halo universe. Now the Spartan Laser, Flamethrower, Fire Bombs, those are all going to be cool, but the weapon that's really going to catch on and grab your attention is going to be the Gravity Hammer. And this bad boy is sort of like having Babe Ruth's bat in your hand, and you just can knock guys, swat them all over the place. You can even swat vehicles, knock over warthogs, send mongooses flying. It's a whole lot of fun.